Hardy Construction.
What's up, everybody? It's the Hardy Construction. You can find us at hardyconstruction.tumblr.com, youtube.com/hardyconstruction, as well as facebook.com/thehardyconstruction, because I was too stupid to put the away. With your hosts, Alex and
Toby Maguire.
Today's films are
Evil Dead. Evil Dead
from 1981 and Evil Dead from 2013. Two films that
2013, not 2013, 20.
Yeah, I know, because we're in the future, buddy. Today's films are cult. Well, today's film, the first one, is a cult mainstay that propelled director Sam Raimi into, I guess, the stratosphere of making movies that don't make money. No, maybe they do.
Thank God, because he couldn't have made Spider-Man 3 without Evil Dead having existed.
I know I've said that before, but I remember I was in a class in my college, and I snuck out early. To go see Spider-Man 3, and then when I was watching it, I actually was like, wow, why did I cut class for this movie? I was that...
You'd rather be sitting bored in class.
Yeah, I was that, and so, like, and I'm not, like, I'm not too... I hope I don't come off like a snob on this show, because I really am not, and Danny knows.
He is.
Yeah, I actually am. But when I left the theater, I was so heartbroken after what I saw. It was so horrible. Because I loved Spider-Man 2. Spider-Man 2 still may be my
it's
favorite.
a good movie. I mean, the first one's good, the second one's good. I even like the new version with the new actors and stuff.
I haven't watched that yet, but I remember the Spider-Man 2 is like probably my favorite superhero movie of all time. Right. Besides, like, well, Ninja Turtles aren't superheroes. They're like comic book.
They are superheroes.
I guess, in a way.
Pretty soon they're going to be alien superheroes.
Michael Bay, what are you doing? So anyway, Evil Dead 1981. Let's get into that. That is a film directed by Sam Raimi and starring Bruce Campbell, Ellen Sandweiss, Richard DeManicore,
Betsy Baker.
Yes, it's unquestionably a cult classic.
Wonder if any of those people ever went. Well, actually, one of them is in Oz the Great and Powerful.
Which one?
Betsy Baker.
Did Bruce Campbell show up in Oz or no?
I have no idea.
I don't know. He tends to show up in a lot of Sam Raimi's work. He was in all three Spider-Man films. So anyway. So this film was made in 1981. It's about five friends that travel to a cabin in the woods where they unknowingly release flesh-possessing demons.
Yeah.
And what's your history with Evil Dead, 1981?
I don't even know when I originally saw it, but I've
Evil Dead.
Been a fan of the original. Yeah, I've been a fan of that for a long time. And I've always liked the second one better, though. But it's a really good movie.
I actually saw the trilogy, obviously Evil Dead, Evil Dead 2, and Army of Darkness. I saw them in reverse.
Right.
And I don't think I missed much. Well, maybe the third one, but I guess the
third one's like a whole other thing.
Yeah, the third one starts out with the whole, it doesn't really say anything that happens in part 1 or 2, does it? Or does it just show Ash flipping in a circle?
He's in a time portal, and it just starts off like that, kind of.
I remember that being the first image that stuck with me from the Evil Dead films is Ash spinning in a circle, so that was obviously Evil Dead Part 2. Yeah. I thought it was cool, because I didn't know what the fuck was going on. I just saw guys spinning. And then the film obviously jumps 10 years into the future, quality-wise, and then he's automatically, like, fighting, demons and stuff. Or
skeletons and shit.
The Deadites or whatever. What were the Deadites again in, like... What are the Deadites, anyway? Are they demons? Are they... Because they really switched up what they are.
What, Kandarian demons? What is it?
Yeah, Kandarian demons, because that's what they are. That's what they are in the first one. In the second one, I guess they're still Kandarian demons. In part 3, he's still fighting Deadites, but they're... I guess they are still Kandarian demons, but they're more...
They're very sexy. They have good skin. They have nice eyes.
But they're more like... what can I say they are by the third one? They're like an army, obviously, but they're not as... Let's see. When they possess the humans in the movies, they're pretty much, vile and evil and whatever else. In the third one...
Well, the third one's a lot more like Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, they're very sentient and very, they're almost barbaric. You know what I mean? Demons, but not stupid. Yeah. Because then they possess skeletons.
Ancient times. That's what happened in medieval times.
Part 3 is a very strange film that's awesome. It's just a very, very strange film that it's the scale that it has.
There are certain scenes in that I just love. Like all the small ones jumping into him and stuff.
Yeah, for me, like, I actually prefer watching Army of Darkness over the Lord of the Rings movies. But that's just me. You know what I mean? Because it's so strange. And it doesn't take itself seriously at all, but that's just me. But funny enough, I like The Evil Dead more than I did Evil Dead 2. And that's where you and I split up, I guess, in a sense. Maybe I have to watch Evil Dead 2 again, because I remember we did the review here, and I was like, oh, it's okay.
Yeah, you gotta watch it again.
But the Evil Dead, we're dealing with
chance.
We're dealing with 5 friends that are taking a trip to the cabin, desolated cabin that they got a really cheap deal on, a really good deal. I wonder who owns this cabin that's giving these people cheap deals.
I guess that professor.
Yeah, because
the one that raised the demons.
Yeah, I guess so. It's what was the professor? What was his name?
Noby or something? I can't think offhand. I think it's like Noby.
So Bruce Campbell plays Ashley Ash J. Williams, but they don't really call him. Well, they don't call him Ash now. They mostly call him Ashley, right? Throughout the whole film.
He's Ash a few times.
He's Ash. It's Ash. He doesn't seem to be the focus of the movie until the last 30 minutes, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. At first, he's just like one of the people there, and actually it focuses more on Scotty.
Right.
But then, like, you know, Scotty quickly dies because he's a douche, and then Ash takes over.
So Ashley is the brother of Cheryl, and Cheryl's the sister. Obviously, why did I say that?
She's got a nose.
Why did I say he's the brother of this girl and she's his sister? What point was I doing? There's Scott, who's kind of like the super bro, who's driving them there. There's Linda. Which one was Linda? Because two of the girls were kind of interchangeable.
Linda is his girlfriend.
Right,
is Ash's girlfriend. I'm thinking, am I being confused right now? I might be being confused.
And then there's Shelly, who's the third girl in there. And
that's like Scott's girlfriend. I might be reversing the names of the girls, but
so they're driving off to this cabin. And what did you say the quality of the first?
It's like trauma quality.
That's true. It really is. It's really like cheaply made.
But then it gets better once they get
there.
I don't know what that's about. Maybe the on-the-road camera wasn't as good as the cabin camera.
The film was actually shot in 1979, towards the end of it, and it got all edited, and it took them like 3 years to release it to 1981, so maybe that's why. The fact that it was made in 1979 impressed me even more, because it feels like a movie from the mid-80s.
The summer of 79.
So, very good. You're about 10 years too late. But so they drive up to this cabin, and shenanigans already start out because they Scott or somebody finds
there's horny trees everywhere.
Yeah, there's horny trees everywhere. They find,
and they're bisexual. They'll go for anyone.
They find a tape player that has this professor. They're getting all spooked out already, but they're playing this tape that is reciting this doctor's dealings.
I'm just gonna say, if I found a fucking spooky cellar that opened on its own and inside was a tape player and a book made out of flesh, I would just get in the car and leave.
I like the design of the book in the first one. It's pretty cool. It's just
and its tongue and everything.
Yeah, there was a film called Evil Tunes that was a really terrible B-grade movie where...
Is it about Looney Tunes?
It's about these people that read the same book. They have the same Necronomicon in that film. But that version talks, and it's yelling at people.
Oh, God.
And it summons a 2D animated monster, like a cartoon wolf, that comes out and he rapes everybody. It's like four girls that live in this house. And then it also has, what's his name, Bill from Kill Bill? What's his face? The guy that killed himself in real life?
David Carradine?
David Carradine's in it, and it's funny, he has a hanging scene.
And then if it does a close-up on his pants, you see that he has like a little wet spot.
He has the women's underwear on and shit. Did you ever see the photo of him dead? It's very creepy.
No, I don't want to see.
He's on a slab and he's wearing like women's like clothing and women's lingerie and stuff.
I would never want to see that.
It's very sad. That's what happened when Uma Thurman killed him. He just got into drag and died. Anyway, well, that's fucked up. So that's the curse of Bruce Lee.
He did the 5-point move on his chest, and he just like came his pants and became into autoerotic asphyxiation.
That was funny. That was Bruce Lee's curse on him because Bruce Lee was actually supposed to originally star in Kung Fu, but I guess they didn't think an Asian actor would have been good, so they chose him instead, and that's Bruce Lee from.
Well, Asians in general aren't good.
Jesus Christ. So anyway, and then I know I had another point to say, but that racism just drove me nuts. So the 5 of them, they play this tape. They actually, the sister was like, I don't want to hear this shit. Don't keep playing the tape. And Scott, like an asshole, just keeps playing the tape. And the tape, I like the sound of the tape. It's just like this guy saying these words. I don't know why he would say them if he doesn't want the shit to keep continue happening.
Well, it's in chronological order. He says them, then he realizes, but he should have gone back and fucking destroyed the tape.
Okay, I didn't pick that up, but yeah. So yeah. I guess the shit happened to him where something happened, whatever. So anyway, this type of film, you can see how
it's amazingly shot. It's
really good. Man. Like this film, like there's something about the way Sam Raimi, the way that he handled this film for a movie that had no money, that you can tell without a budget the kind of stuff you can do when you have your back up against the wall, so to speak, creatively. So you have to come up with like bizarre shots and stuff. The way that the way the movie looks, like there's a scene when a girl is looking at a pendant, like Ash is sitting with his girlfriend at a sofa.
With the eyes going back.
Yeah, and it's cutting back and forth because Ash is faking that he's asleep, so she's trying to look at this little box that he has in his hand with a pendant. So it's just the shots of them, far shots, and then shots of her eyes close up. And you can tell that's exactly how the storyboards probably look like. Like, you can tell because it's so artistically well done. The shots when the camera's flying through the forest, which was a 2x4 with a camera mounted on it with Sam and Ted. Awesome. I think it was Sam Raimi and his brother, or either one of the producers, and they're running down the forest, which is supposed to represent the visual version of the ghost or the deadite or whatever spirit this is that's flying around. And just everything technically that they were able to get away with was so fucking cool. And what did you think of the visual style of the film?
It's fucking awesome. I mean, everything, it's just like you feel like you're there. It's great.
Yeah,
like,
it's really
everything
cool.
Is so like interactive and fun.
And so I could understand people in the 70s and 1981 watching this film. I'm sure they generally got scared because this is a lot of shit that was going on in this film that.
It's definitely like an original at the time, I'm sure. Like,
I'm glad that he came out with this. Like, for Sam Raimi to and his crew to come out with this kind of film that has like these kind of demon possession, and it wasn't like let's say Rosemary's Baby or that kind of demon or where it was like a specific.
These are fun-loving demons.
Right, it was just it was a schlocky horror film, but not schlocky where they didn't give a shit about it. You know what I mean? Where it was just totally exploitative.
Yeah.
Although there was the tree rape scene, which is pretty exploitative. In the remake, the producers wanted it in there, and the director didn't really want it because he didn't really give a shit.
These are demons. They're evil. That's why they're raping. It's showing that rape is evil. It's not promoting rape. It's saying that demons are evil people that rape.
We'll get into that when we get into the remake. But this one, the rape scene seemed pretty goofy. Do you know what I mean? It was just like...
I think it's so well done. Even like the claymation effects at the end, like as bad as they are, that makes them awesome,
Yeah, the special effects were really good for the tree is assaulting. You could tell they did the whole reversal stuff, but it was done really well. And let's state that we do not promote rape. Only jokes.
No, we do not promote rape.
No, not at all. I don't think
demons promote rape.
Yeah, that's true. So this in the film they have the sister gets
and Sam Raimi promotes rape.
Well, I guess so because he put it in there. So anyway, the sister gets raped by the tree. And she's freaking out. But it's so funny. She saw a whole bunch of shit. She saw some creepy shit like out the window, and she didn't say anything about it. Like
that family has very prominent facial features. Ash has the chin. She's got the nose.
Yeah, she's got a big schnoz. Anyway, after she gets raped, she's like, she freaks out, and she becomes the first demon, right?
Yeah.
And they decide to throw her into the now famous. What would you call that? A basement door?
It's like a cellar.
A hatch? A cellar door, excuse me. And
that's you just made me think of Donnie Darko.
Yeah, I know. That's like the most beautiful word in the world.
Yeah, I don't really give a shit about that word.
So with this film, what we're led to see, and it kind of ramps up from there. Basically, every person gets attacked and gets possessed, and the last person alive is Ash.
And yet they walk from room to room alone, not realizing that this would be a bad decision.
And they also don't hear what's happening in the next room when people are
right. They'll hear a window smash, and then they very calmly walk into the room rather than running in like I would.
Yeah, but but the film is so campy and weird that for me that kind of that part I was like I wasn't so offended by that. I was more offended in the remake.
No, I'm not offended by it. All of it is genius to me.
Right? Yeah, because it's it's so cartoonish. And do you think Sam Raimi went the right way in the progression of the series?
Yeah,
because I mean,
a lot of people. I'm guessing at least that people may not like Army of Darkness, but I think it's awesome.
I thought it was I think it was a natural progression because of how goofy Ash was in the sequel.
It's more like a Looney Tunes episode each time.
Yeah, I like what they did because you know what I mean. It's like in this one, it's very serious actually horror film, and they decided to go in a comedic way for the sequel for whatever reason. And I think that probably freshened it up to make Ash more of a main character that he can goof around and become his own entity, as opposed to.
It reminds me of the Tall Man, Phantasm. How that guy starts off. The first one's kind of like a serious movie, but then as they go, they get more like silly and campy, and that older guy becomes like a iconic guy.
Right, self-referential and stuff like that. But I understand why they did it because can you imagine how many Evil Deads they would do, and it would honestly become the same shit each film. People going into a cabin and attacked by monsters, and I could see that getting more because you look at the Saw films. The only reason people go see Saw films is to see how characters die as opposed to following a story. There is
a storyline in those though. I have to give them
credit.
They
do. They
do. I recently watched all 7 or 6 of them or whatever. How many there is?
They actually have a storyline that continues from the first one to the 7th. The only problem is 5 of those movies are fucking horrible, and you gotta
there's only one that's really bad to me.
Which one?
I think it was the 5th one. I thought
is that
it was
the one that gets crushed to death at the end?
I'm trying to remember. There was. Either the 4th or the 5th one was really bad. I think the 6th one was actually the best.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, we agree on that. Wow, okay. Is that the one with the insurance guy?
I don't remember. I mean, they all blur.
I thought it was the best one. And then,
there was one where there was
like
one murder, and it was basically just like a cop drama the whole time. And I was like, what the hell is this?
But the thing is, I like cop dramas, but even those ones, I was like, what the fuck is going on? That's why I like the first one. And I like but the 6th one didn't have like a cop thing, but the characters were so paper thin. Like you were there.
Jigsaw would stand up very well against the Deadite, though.
No, of course not. He would just get fucked up. But I like the progression of the series. But I think what they did was very important with Ash. What do you think of special effects?
In Saw.
Yes,
I like it all. Evil Dead. It's all fun in this movie. Like it's just fucking like claymation and reverse effects and stuff. But it just looks so glitchy and cool.
Yeah, I think the Deadite effects got a lot better in the sequel, obviously, because they got more money. And I was reading the trivia for this one, and it was so funny because they made a big deal about that pendant or that jewelry that Ash gave his girlfriend.
Yeah, and they bring something like that into the remake.
Yeah, they do. I think they just did it just for a reminder. But the jewelry in the first one was supposed to mean a lot more. Yeah. And they decided to change the idea halfway, but they kept shooting more pendant stuff to make it look like there was no reason. You know what I mean? Make it feel like, oh, we didn't shoot this shit for nothing. You know what I mean? Right. So obviously that trivia doesn't mean shit to anybody. But are there any other aspects of the film you think worked and didn't work?
I don't think there's anything that doesn't work in this movie.
Yeah, for the film of its time, it's really good. Because I know people were saying, oh, there was such bad acting in this film, and I was like, this is alright.
I don't think there was. The bad acting was like charming.
Because they were saying the new film had better actors than the original one, but I was like, this is about the same level of acting. I didn't really think of anything different between.
Well, these are like more amateur actors, but they're not like obviously bad or anything. I don't think.
Because I know Sam Raimi. They decided they went to high school together. Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell, and Bruce Campbell's always. It's so funny because it's funny to see Bruce Campbell pre-Bruce Campbell that we know. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. He's got
funny
hair and everything.
In here, he's very subdued until the second one and the third one. He had a lot of he's very schmarmy and very arrogant, which makes him very funny in the sequels. And what part grossed me out when one of the demons dies and you see that cream corn come out of his hand.
Yeah.
I was like, that out of all this shit, I was like, that's gross, like a fucking loser. But yeah, I think to see Ash, if you saw the first, like I did, you see the third film, the second one, then you see the first one, which I don't know, like a retard does, like I would.
I've never done it like that. I watched them in order, so I don't know.
Yeah, you're not an asshole like I am. And to see that, and then see how Ash is very subdued, you're like, whoa, what's going on? Why is he not funny? And then you realize in the second one why they went that route. So I think I will appreciate watching the second and third one again, because watching the first one and then watching this remake, I'm like, I want to see them again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, watch them in order.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to watch them in order.
It's fun.
But I did like the first one. I like the whole possession angle. It felt very much like a comic book film, and you can tell if like Sam Raimi wasn't making movies, he'd probably work on like really cool comic books.
Right.
Except for that what was that movie that? Well, no, I think he's been doing good films. The Darkman was really fun. That was
Mine is fucking Spider-Man 3. I don't think he's done anything like horrible.
For some reason, I thought that he did Alice in Wonderland, and I remember that was Tim Burton that did that piece of shit. It's because Oz looks so similar.
I actually didn't even see that because I just heard so many bad things about it. I was like, there's no
Alice in Wonderland?
Yeah,
it's atrocious. But I keep thinking, because the new Oz looks just like Alice in Wonderland. So
I get like really protective over things that I love, so I don't want to see it.
Oh, you like Alice in Wonderland?
Yeah, Alice in Wonderland. But wait, we should get into the new movie.
Okay, now. So anyway, with this film, I think everything is fucking amazing. There's no question about it. Us reviewing it is pointless. Is there anything else that you know what I mean? It's just a good movie. I fucking love this movie. It's great. So out of that, I would give it just because it's horror royalty. I'll give it a 10 out of 10. Oh Jesus Christ! What happened in this movie? That was so great. Everything happens. It's great.
Give it cream corn.
10 out of 10 cream corn falling out of the sleeve of your Deadite shirt.
I'm gonna give it a 10 out of 10. Big nose sister getting raped by a tree.
She did have a big. You know, she looked like Sarah Silverman.
She's actually really hot to me.
She is.
I like big noses.
She looked like Sarah Silverman's sister. That's what she reminded me of. If you look at Sarah Silverman's sister, she's kind of cute with a big schnoz.
I don't know what her sister is.
So now we'll get into Evil Dead 2013 or 2013, as Danny calls it, directed by Fede Alvarez. Starring Jane Levy, Shiloh Fernandez, Lou Taylor, Pucci, and Jessica Lucas, Elizabeth Blackmore. There's a lot of people in this fucking movie. Anyway, it's written by Fede Alvarez.
People too.
Written by Fede Alvarez, Rodo Sayagues. Oh man, this is bad. And it had some rewrites by oh god, who's the girl that did Juno?
What?
Diablo Cody. She wrote
Jennifer's Body?
Yeah, she wrote Jennifer's Body. So apparently Diablo Cody Americanized the script because Fede Alvarez wrote it with Rodo Sayagues.
Maybe she should have laid off and let it stay Uruguayan or whatever.
They were writing burritos to the fucking burritos. Excuse me. They were writing burros
like
to
a whole
the fucking
bean scene. It's just like cooking cans of beans.
They were like
burritos.
The Deadites were actually just candy skulls that they bit into.
They're wearing sombreros. They come out wearing sombreros and they have maracas.
The Deadites were actually the INS chasing them around the house, looking at all their paperwork. I swear to you.
The scene where they go to drive out and there's that river, they actually like float on like a log to get to the other side. And you see like Texas people shooting at them.
You see sharks at their feet trying to nip at them. It's just so funny when you see like, and I'm telling you, and I feel bad about saying it, but it feels like they put Shiloh Fernandez in the movie just because of his last name. That's my theory because it's a Spanish director going, sure man, put it in the movie, fighting the monsters, bro, like that. But that's just me. It's kind of like what I get really depressed is when a Latino director puts a heavy Latino slant, and I understand why. I get it. It's like Spike Lee does primarily black films. I get it. But then when they slant a Latino film to try to be white in a way by putting these really terrible like Spanish stereotypes. I love racist.
Any like horrible stereotypes.
No, I'm not saying this. I'm just saying I'm gonna bring up the point. Like you see Robert Rodriguez, you see like half of his films. Like what was that movie Machete? Which I didn't
Machete.
like. You like Machete? I didn't like Machete. But it's like Machete. It's just like everybody in in cars. What are those cars that they do?
It's supposed to be.
I get it, but it's just
ridiculous.
Like, oh God, enough. And then he goes and he makes movies for children. I don't know what the fuck.
Spy Kids.
Quentin Tarantino must be like, well, what's he doing? You know, smelling somebody's feet. Anyway, with Evil Dead, with this one, the remake, they got rid of the in the title, and they decided to make it really hardcore graphic violence. And I'm sure they maybe would have done that with the first one. The first one has a good amount of violence in it, but not, but it's really like bad violence. When a person gets their face scratched, you can tell it's like just ketchup. Like they couldn't even use Caro syrup. It's like really horrible makeup effects.
I mean, I think this film, looks-wise, visually,
yeah, it looks good.
Awesome.
Looks good, but I had made the unfortunate choice of watching the original one and then seeing the new version, and I was like,
you can't do that.
I was like, so I'm gonna try to review this
because I wasn't totally freshened up on the original when I saw this. I haven't seen it in probably a year or so. Then when I watched it again, it's better that way,
Yeah, I was trying. So I'm gonna try to talk about this film. Is it subjectively or objectively?
Because the original is better.
It is, yeah. There's no question about it. It's always like that. But there's a reason why and it's not just because the original is so good. Because there are films where I'm like, oh wow, it's better than the original version. Obviously, The Thing.
They're definitely that's true.
Stuff like that.
Well, The Thing as opposed to a 1953.
That's true. That's about a 30-year difference.
There are certain aspects of this movie that are better. It's quality-wise, film quality. Yes, it's so much better.
Like the first half doesn't look like a trauma film, but that's just because the original.
And the fucking scenes in the woods, that lighting and everything, they really it looks really good. They make it look good.
So the problem that I had with the beginning of this one, there was no build up to tension. I think every horror film now tries to have that Saw. It would bring back to Saw. A Saw opening where it's very violent and crazy and be like, oh shit, a James Bond kind of opening.
Yeah, they had the whole idea of her going crazy from drug withdrawals.
No, but I'm talking about the beginning. The beginning with the actual guy killing his daughter, and there's all these weirdo people around him. Mm-hmm. I don't know who those people were, unless they were just there to help him to kill her, I guess. But I guess it's this man. Was it the professor? Was it or no? Nah, it was just some guy, whatever. And he has to kill his daughter, and then she's cursing at him, and then decides to set her on fire.
She's kind of cute.
She is, and they blow her brains up, and it's really.
They blow her brains up.
Yes. Well, did they?
Well, I'm picturing if they actually tied TNT to her brain,
or just like that Garbage Pail Kids, the kid with the fucking TNT strapped to his head and explodes. Yeah, maybe not. The way this film starts out, it's very just like a violent opening, I guess, to get people going, holy shit, is this what we're in store for, Yeah. And they said this movie was primarily regular effects, not any CG or anything.
I don't think there was any CG.
Even with that opening?
Yeah, I don't think there was any. I think it was entirely, from what I read one time, I think Sam Raimi talked about it, that it's entirely practical effects, which makes me love it, right off the bat.
I don't know how that opening wasn't CG.
Well,
the girl on fire.
I read an article. I think I posted it to our Tumblr actually about how there's. Oh, yeah, I'm reading it right here on Wikipedia. We didn't do any CGI in this movie. Everything that you see is real, which was really demanding. So that's
I hope they get some award.
Alvarez.
I hope they get some award for that girl on fire yelling at them, because that's pretty cool effects.
Yeah, that's the director who said that. So that's great. Automatically, I like it a lot just because of that.
Right there from the tone, you can see where the film is going to go from here. It's just really brutal violence. And the only other film I could think about that was like that, I always blank out the name of the film, but it's about this film that about these. It's the same premise. 5 kids that go on vacation. They go to the Mayans area, where in Mexico. And they get attacked by the trees and shit like that. Because not the trees itself, but the trees have this, there's something in there, the pollen, that gets onto your body.
Right.
It attracts the roots to kill you in, really horrible ways. And it almost becomes torture porn, but it's really, I gotta find out the name of that.
The plural of porn.
Go, keep talking about the opening or whatever else.
Alright, anyway, so, the movie starts off with this scene of a demon getting killed by her dad.
The ruins. There you go, the ruins. But anyway, sorry about that. It felt the same way. It was this violent film with people visiting somewhere else, and they kind of have to cut their arms off, cut their legs off, and really fucked up shit. But go ahead.
So then, then it goes to now it's a bunch of people going to the cabin, and right off the bat you see the car. Ash's car and everything, which is
they're driving in their own car. Ash's car just happens to be there.
Yeah, it's rusted, so it makes you think, oh, maybe this is 30 years later or something.
Although his car came with him to the past.
Yeah, it did go to Army. Well, whatever. So it's just a nod. It's a nod, so it's cool. And, he, produced it, too. What's his face? Bruce Campbell. Anyway, so it's about, the basic plot is there's this girl, Mia, who's really hot, and she's addicted to drugs, and she has to detox. and her asshole brother who
Shiloh Fernandez,
like kind of abandoned her is back now with a bunch of friends to make sure that she's okay.
She keeps putting the screws to him because I guess their mother had a cancer and she died, and the daughter Jane.
I think she was in a mental institution, so maybe she had like brain cancer or something.
Oh yeah, so Mia was waiting there while the brother was finding himself somewhere else, and he didn't come back in time to be there when the mother passed away. Did they say anything about the father? I know. The father was dead to him. So anyway, Mia keeps breaking his balls all the fucking time. She's like, shut up, jeez.
She's super hot though.
Okay, I get that, but she's related.
No, but she could say anything.
Even if she was related to you, you'd be fine with that.
If she was related to me, there'd be some incestuous things going on.
Some fucking listener right now that
I always wonder, like I have a brother, but like if I had a really hot sister,
Jesus, what a fucking creep. There's somebody listening to us right now.
It's just like a natural, because obviously I'm joking, but I've never experienced it, but I wonder if there's like brothers that are attracted to their sisters and vice versa.
I'm sure there are, but I have a sister, and that never fucking went to my mind.
You never tried to twiddle her diddle?
I did not. No, I did not.
Okay.
But I'm sure there's a listener that went through some horrible ordeal and is listening to this episode.
And I hope I'm traumatizing them right now.
So anyway, the film starts out with these 5 friends. They're pretty much paper thin, as paper thin as the original one. They're trying to give a backstory to David and Mia, which I guess works for the film.
I thought there was some nice character development. With the brother and the main brother and the main sister, and kind of with that douche hipster guy.
The douche hipster guy has no background to him besides.
Well, he's just like
being indestructible.
Added his friend for abandoning them.
Yeah, so it's like that. It's just throwaway lines, and I didn't care because there was none of that was in the first one either. So I mean, I didn't really give a shit. But I remember reading some review where a guy was saying, "Oh, the characters."
But stop thinking about the other one. Just think about
No. I'm talking about this. They're talking about how paper thin the characters were compared to the first one. I was like, what? The characters in the first one have no fucking background to them compared to this one.
Yeah, not really.
So I'll give them, props for trying to, make David and Mia's relationship mean something in the film, like they would care about each other. But honestly, I don't really give a fuck. You don't care about. Well,
it's a horror movie. You're not really supposed to get super attached.
It's Evil Dead.
It's gonna die.
It's like trying to fucking make a David Mamet play out of a horror film. It's like, okay, I get it. Oh, wait a minute. Did David Mamet do no, that was somebody else. Anyway, what did you think were the strengths of the characters? That's a joke.
Well, they're hot.
You like Mia, right? Enough with this.
Everyone is hot in this movie. Everyone. It's weird. Even the demons are hot.
There's Mia,
which is probably not a good thing.
There's Mia who's a junkie who actually died one time before, and they resuscitated her during a drug overdose. So now this is their second time, and they're gonna force her to stay here. She doesn't know it yet, but they're gonna force her to detox. There's David, obviously the brother, who's whatever. He's just a guy who's in and out of people's lives. Eric is the school teacher.
He's an angry, bitter friend.
He looks like he came out of the 70s. Like he has the hair and the glasses, so he looks like a hipster.
He's got to shave that mustache of his. It doesn't fit him. Then there's that hot Indian chick. Is she Indian? Whatever she is, she's so hot.
Jessica Lucas, who plays Olivia. I've seen her in a bunch of things. And,
the nurse. She's the nurse friend.
She's a very, very pretty girl.
Now who else is there? I'm blanking. Oh, the girlfriend of
David.
Of David, yeah.
David's girlfriend. What is she? Let me see. Born and raised in Vancouver, Canada. She's Canadian? Oh, snap. Another Canadian girl that we know.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. You hear that, Thea? Go get yours. Anyway. So, yeah, she's quite the looker. And there's Natalie, who's David's girlfriend, who's kind of, like, pointless, besides some gore effects that happen to her. Anyway.
Yeah, she barely does anything.
Anyway, some shit happens to Mia early on, and she's freaking out, and they're treating her like it's just...
They keep doing, like, kind of, like, grudgy sort of things where they're showing like pop-ups of the Deadite.
It's so funny. I forgot that happened. Then I was like, wait a minute, that did happen. I didn't like that.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
I didn't like that they personified a particular Deadite because she actually sees this woman. Is it the girl who died in the beginning, or is it just another Deadite?
Yeah, I wasn't sure.
Whatever.
I'd have to watch it again. I just saw it the one time.
There's this phantom Deadite woman that is stalking Mia. I guess.
At first, I thought it was a version of her as a Deadite.
Could be, but I know that she was basically she's taunting Mia. Maybe it's because she's the weakest out of the group right now, emotionally.
Yeah, she's going crazy, which is cool. I like that idea that even though I know it is demons, it's cool to think, oh, maybe there's not demons. Maybe she's just going insane at first, but then you realize there's demons.
Right, and I guess that's the whole play about it. They have a dog named Grandpa. I mean, what if the dog really was their grandpa? Like, he's... There was a cut. They cut out a scene where the dog has reading glasses on and he's reading a book with a pipe by the fireplace.
He's reading them a bedtime story.
He's like,
they're sitting on his lap. And
that's what happened. They cut it out. They were like, nah, that might be too much for the movie. Anyway, Grandpa disappears into the film because Mia runs out as a freak outside, and they find out that she killed the dog.
Yeah.
Or it could have been the Deadite that did it. Who knows? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. They blame it on Mia. Mia also...
They really missed an opportunity with that dog.
They did. They could have done some cool stuff with that.
They could have done some cool stuff. The Gate did it, Why couldn't they do it?
Yeah, but I think that, because they go on to say that the Deadites or whatever, the Kandarian demons need 5 souls, so...
The Deadites, the Kandarian demons or whatever in this are much more serious than funny. And I don't...
Compared to the first one,
I knew going into it wasn't going to be funny, but I wish that they were a little funny. And then the parts...
No, but the first one, they were serious,
funny,
too.
They are funny?
The first one, they were serious, except for the girlfriend. She was more, like, spooky.
Well, she's giggling and shit. It's got, like, a fucking weird feel to this. They're just, like, dead serious. Like,
right. And you didn't
like
care for that.
I want, like, a little humor. I need humor in a horror movie, or I just can't deal with it.
So, I was very surprised that Mia's the one that gets raped by a tree. I didn't expect her to get raped by the trees in the forest.
Did you think that tree rape scene was so much better than the original tree rape scene?
For me, it seemed fucking stupid. like the first one was stupid, and this one was stupid too. Effects-wise, it was good for the first one.
I thought the first one looked great. I couldn't even figure out how they did it.
For me, it didn't feel like any reason to be in the movie anyway. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was just like a rape scene for rape's sake.
It makes me not want to go in the woods.
I think you're
And
right.
You would think if you got raped by a tree, you wouldn't turn into a demon, you'd turn into like an elf or something, but...
So in this one, she is accosted by the trees, by the woods, I say, and then that spooky grudge demon comes up to her and spits out this worm, much like the worm inside REC, right? You notice that? But instead of going down the mouth, it goes up her cooter in this version.
What do you think of the violence?
It's very copious.
Slicing your tongues in half and all these sorts of things.
It is very copious and it's very grotesque. It's funny, the violence that I thought the tongue splitting would be the worst for me, but actually the part when he slid on the piece of the girl's face and hit his back on the toilet.
I found that there was actually a part where I really was like, oh, like when the fucking thing goes through the wall and cuts her knee. There's a point where he shoves the machete through and it gets on her knee, and then when he pulls it back.
The film is very fucking violent, and I mean, it's like, it seems not excessive, but it seems like they're filling the gaps that the charm of the original trilogy didn't need. Do you know what I mean?
I'm thinking back to it right now, and I'm liking the movie more as I think back to it, actually.
I don't know, for me it felt kind of empty, but that's because I saw the original one. I mean, for me...
Well, there's no iconic character.
Yeah, and there's nothing... And the loss, and they do that flying camera shit maybe once or twice. Mm-hmm. And it's not really like... I like that shot where they're upside down over the forest, and then it zooms into them.
I wish they had done more of that. And, like, maybe if there was just one Evil Dead original and just this, it would be different. But because we know all of them, and we know that Ash is, like, this iconic hero and all this shit, so you have this whole, like, feeling for that, and then this doesn't have that yet.
And I'm all cool for, like, a female lead that's badass, like, and we get that with Underworld, that kind of chick, or the Resident Evil.
She wasn't even a lead. She was a bad guy for 90% of the movie. It's weird.
Yeah, I know. So to switch her around and make her the hero, because it seems like David is being set up to be Ash 2.0. And for when he dies towards the end, and they put it to Mia because she gets sacrificed and then resuscitated with some fucking A-Team sort of bullshit that they use.
I did like that actually, because it goes back to like when he makes hand chainsaws.
I was almost hoping that they did the shit that Raimi does, is zoom into the thing and and just how he keeps zooming into shit that's in the film.
Yeah.
And but they didn't do it for some reason, and it was just like, this is kind of stupid. Why they do that? And I don't know, whatever. It seems like it was. I don't know. I just didn't give a shit. I really didn't care for the film.
Yeah,
looked good. Really looking cool film. Really cool looking film, and really violent and crazy. And I guess if you're in to see a film like that, I
saw it all alone, which was the first time I've ever had this. It was an afternoon showing, and I was the only person in a really big theater. So for me, it was maybe a different experience. Like,
and the thing is, cool. You know that I love violent horror films. I love them.
Yeah.
I mean, the story of Ricky is one of my favorite movies of all time. Itchy the Killer is one of my favorite movies.
Story of Ricky is fucking badass.
You know, Itchy the Killer and all that, Over the Dead Alive. But there's a charm to the film. You know what I mean? Each one of those films has a charm and something about it.
Because they're kind of funny and they're kind of
right. Yeah, there's something about them where you can take something else besides the violence. Like the violence was for a reason. Here, the violence is here to just shock, I guess, and I guess that's the point of a horror film.
I don't know. There were scenes like the scene I said it before. The scene when she's in between the walls and he's stabbing at her with the fucking machete.
Yeah.
That was like a creepy. As I'm watching it, I'm like, ooh, that felt like the original Evil Dead to me.
There's some parts, because, like, the Evil Dead for me, like, the original one didn't spook me out until the last 10 minutes when Ash is getting his shit together and you hear the voiceovers. Like I said this before, you hear the voiceovers toward the end that were replaying from the beginning.
Join us.
Yeah, right. And in this one, I could say the last 10 minutes of the film are fucking great for me, because it's like, Mia fighting the evil Deadite that gets. They're trying to.
What is which? Like, I wasn't even sure which Deadite that was.
Because it had two arms, so it's obviously that somebody. It summoned the Deadite. Whoever.
So was that like the Deadite?
Yeah.
Something like?
Because in the book it warns. It says if you say these words, whatever, he's gonna come after you take 5 souls. And obviously there was more than 5 souls taken.
And I like the rain. I guess Grandpa counts. I like the raining of the blood.
Because apparently, that was cool. Apparently, in the original ending of the film, she gets picked up by 2 farmers, Mia, and she's still possessed. So it doesn't make sense that she's getting attacked by a demon if she's still possessed. Or maybe they'll do some shit like Alien, where Ripley was half alien by the 4th one. So maybe that's why the creature was attacking her. I have no clue. That's just speculation.
I wouldn't mind if they made a second one to this.
I think that's the point. And I think that because did you stay for the after credits?
Not the full thing. Why?
Because
what did I miss?
Bruce Campbell shows up at the end.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh my god, I fucking missed that? Really? I'm a fucking idiot. Oh my god.
I put it on our Tumblr a while back. It's you hear the original recording of the book, which I thought would have been fucking way cooler in this. And this instead, the teacher's reading the book out loud. Which
I'm stupid. I feel like embarrassed that I didn't see that.
At the very end, you can find it on YouTube. At the very end, you hear the recording of the tape of the original one. Mm-hmm. And then at the very end, you see Bruce Campbell's face in silhouette. And after the tape ends, after what the doctor says in the first one, Bruce looks towards the camera and he says "groovy," and it just cuts to black. Huh. And it was funny because they obviously recorded it in the theaters, and there were people in the theater going, "Who was that?" Like,
oh god,
because they never saw the original ones, I guess. And I guess
that's shameful.
But I can imagine watching this movie for the first time and not knowing what. I'd be like, what the fuck what was that point? Was that the director?
Right, you're right. Like, you have no idea what it means.
But I do like the last boss fight, but these people, Mia cuts her hand off, and it seemed like, what the fuck was the point of that? It was just like, I understand because the tree fell on her hand and stuff like that, but these people had no hesitation about cutting their limbs off to get away from monsters, which I get. I understand. The one movie that ever made me fucking... and it still haunts me, is this movie called Night Watch, which is a remake of a foreign film, where it was about this guy who works at a...
Oh, is that a sequel to the sitcom Night Court?
Yeah, no, it's Bull and Harry, and they're all trying to they're trying to find out why Dan was having sex with so many women. Anyway, in this Night Watch, there's a couple of Night Watch. There's a Night Watch action film made by Timur Bekentov, whatever the fuck his name is. That's not this one. There's a Night Watch from a remake, like in the 2000s or either it was late 90s. It's about this guy that works at a morgue, and there's these people getting murdered, and they're blaming him. It's very surreal and it's a very creepy film, but I heard the original one's better. Anyway, there's a scene where a character has to save somebody else's life, and his hand is inside
This is the most interesting story I've ever heard in my life.
And wait till you do when you do the summaries of the films, and I know how I feel. So when this guy's hand is handcuffed, he had to cut his own thumb off to get his hand out and save the guy. And that stuck with me like you couldn't believe. Like, I couldn't imagine, could you do it? You know what I mean? Obviously, if there's a monster coming after you.
I don't know if I could.
So
sometimes I think if I was in place of these people, I'd just kill myself, like, just to skip the horror.
Yeah. But I loved how, when she puts that chainsaw through the Deadite's head, which is, I think, is a stupid
that was a fucking cool scene.
Yeah, because it's like a far shot, and you could tell she's just putting this chainsaw on a dummy's head, and it's
the
riding
whole body
around all
is
crazy.
just like arched up. It was really cool.
It's really like, to me, it's an iconic image. If this movie was 100 times better, I mean, it's good, but I mean, it's I'm comparing it to the original, so I'm a shithead in that way. But it's such a fucking cool image that I've never seen that in a film before. And there are films I've actually seen. You see that Mexican video where they chop off the guy's heads with chainsaws?
No.
It's not as cool looking as what happened in this movie. But anyway, so they're putting a chainsaw through the Deadite's head, and that's awesome. But a chainsaw through a supernatural demon kills it? Like, I was like, what? You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, I don't know. Maybe the sun was coming back out or something. Who knows?
But the sun killed Deadites?
No, I mean, what kills them?
Ha, Danny. Anyway.
Reading... Well, in the first one, it's kind of like burning the book kills them, but in this, the book doesn't burn.
And in the second one...
And then you gotta... What do they do in the second one? Well, he goes through a time portal in the second one. I'm trying to remember how it fucking happens.
Who gives a shit? Anyway, this film, I think, it hits visually, but not visually enough to make it like it as the original one.
I thought visually is perfect.
Okay. I think the way it looks, it's clear and it's crisp, but it's not as visually inventive as, how crazy how Sam Raimi's visual shit is. I don't know how his visuals compare to now. The last Sam Raimi film I saw was Drag Me to Hell. You know what I mean? So that still visually had all that, his kind of things and their quirks.
Is that Oz movie going to be, like, in any way creepy, or...
Maybe,
or is
I
it
don't know.
Totally just like a straightforward...
No, there's creepy shit, and he always puts something weird in it, but for something about, like, James, what's his name, that actor? Franco? I like him in certain movies, but there's just some movies I just do not want to watch him in. Because he kind of seems like a bad actor in some stuff and a good actor in other things. But anyway, with this film, what rating... I would probably give this a 6. I'll give it a 7 out of 10. That's because it looks good. 7 out of 10...
7 out of 10 what?
7 out of 10... let me see. 7 out of 10 supernatural lesbianisms by shooting a lizard out of your mouth into a girl's cooter.
Okay. I'm going to give it a 8 out of 10 chainsaw to the head, really cool shot.
So with that, well, I guess, that's how you feel about both films. So with that, our next film in Demons Month is Demons.
Oh my god. You know what? Do you think that movie's about demons?
I'm going to say it's a strong hint towards a yes. So, Danny, what's the final word?
Demons. Hi.
The horror deconstruction.